Ooh. Ah, second impact. Okay, just the aftermath of the second impact, not what actually caused it. Ooh. Is that flesh melting or is that a glove? Oh. Okay. Misato was right there. There looked like an Ava in the sky. Pure white. Okay. Yeah. Something's awakened. An angel. So she was there at ground zero. Lost her dad in it. Oh, and that's her scar that we always see. And that same necklace, yeah. A miracle's worth. Yeah, as expected, it's something to do with angels. We obviously don't see much there, just some aftermath. Oh, moving up in the world. But the promotion isn't putting her, you know, separating her from Shinji and everyone, is it? To a major. Have to consider other people's feelings. Yeah, it also looked like, yeah, they've got these tubes that go into the Avas. It looked like there was a flash of one of those in the background as well, in the flashback. Even what Misato went into looked visually similar to that. Like he was born to pilot an Ava, wow. Growing fast will surpass you soon, maybe. More responsibility for her. Oh, nice. Throwing a little party for her. Ah, Rei's a no-show, yeah. I know, you know, Rei's the same age range, but it'd be nice for Asuka to have more female friends that age as well. It's nice that Hakiri's here. Yeah, he's struggling socially. I thought it might have been Rei. Love the orange shirt. Ah, Dad's out of town. At the South Pole, huh? Oh. No life is permitted to exist. The pink seas and, yeah, the northern lights as well. A really cool looking environment that always changed. Arrogance caused the second impact. Yeah, humans represent sin, original sin. Oh. A very weird one. Oh, it can send off little drones as well. How big is it? It's hard to get a grasp, isn't it? So it can drop itself as little bombs, but that means it lowers its own mass. Yeah, it's learning. It's got some sentience or something. Bringing back the Magi again. How much do you trust it? It's saying evacuate, but that probably is a good idea. But yeah, they go straight to it for decision making.
いいえ、ただみんなで危ない橋を渡ることはないわ。
Yeah, she really has to take control now. Obviously, she's a major now, but with Dead out the picture on his little excursion to the South Pole.
0.00001%万に一つもないのよ。ゼロではないわ。エヴァーにかける。
All trust in the Avas, yeah.
責任者は私です。
Yeah, she's got power over her now as well.
自分のためでしょ。あなたの使徒への復讐は。
Ah, yeah, a bit more of a motivation. Revenge for Dad. Oh, that's a long title.
落下予測地点にエヴァーを配置。AT フィールド最大であなたたちが直接使徒を。
I use the AT fields to catch, yeah.
賞賛は神のみぞ知るといったところかしら。
She's not telling them the odds.
まさに奇跡ね。
Well, this episode was named, yeah, what was it named? About miracles.
一応規則だと衣装を書くことになってるけど、どうする？
Oh, okay. Really, yeah, playing up how dangerous it is.
こんなに範囲が広いの？端っこまで随分ありますよ。
Yeah, it's a huge area.
ですから、エヴァー全機をこれら3カ所に配置します。
Okay, yeah, covers all.
美里さんのくじって当たったことないんだ。
ゲー。
Playing the lottery shows a bit of a personality, yeah.
本当にバカね。
Oh, that's a cool shot with them all lined up, yeah.
AT フィールドがあの子たちを守ってくれるわ。エヴァーの中が一番安全なのよ。
Hmm. Are they safer in there than the other people?
夢の中に生きる人だったわ。そんな父を許せなかった。憎んでさえいたわ。
Oh. Very similar fathers.
家族のことなど構ってくれなかった。周りの人たちは先生。
But what about his death?
けど、最後は私の身代わりになって死んだの。
Yeah, did that change your view on him then?
そのためにネルフへ入ったわ。結局、私はただ父への復讐を果たしたいだけなの。
The two can coexist sometimes.
目標は光学観測による弾道計算しかできないわ。
Yeah, they're just seeing where it's coming down. Dude, just the animation of them running so good. Oh, he's getting some real speed there, yeah. Oh. Oh, and the sudden shift to like purple. That's really cool, but all the the destruction around him. Just holding it up, yeah. If it couldn't be any more obvious, the weight of the world is on their shoulders. Oh, Ray's breaking through. Nice, right in the eye. Oh, it won't explode though. Right on top of them. Oh, wow. But it didn't seem to affect the city too much.
申し訳ありません。私の勝手な判断で初号機を破損してしまいました。
Save the city though.
その程度の被害はむしろ幸運と言える。ああ、よくやってくれた、桂木さんさ。
ありがとう。
Yeah, it was a smaller explosion than some of the others it was doing, wasn't it?
話は聞いた。よくやったな、シンジ。
Oh,
はい。
では桂木
getting a bit of praise as well. Wow, that's new.
タイ米を下ろしてきたからフルコースだって耐えられるわよ。給料前だけどね。
父さんの言葉を聞いて褒められることが嬉しいって初めて分かったような気がする。
Finally understands being praised.
僕は父さんのさっきの言葉を聞きたくてエヴァに乗ってる。
Yeah, that's his whole motivation.
あんた、
He's only just realized it himself.
本当にバカね。
Wow. Okay, so that was Neon Genesis Evangelion episode 12. Start off with some really cool backstory. You know, felt like maybe we're starting to ramp things up, get into some of the meat and potatoes here of like building towards the end, build into some juicy stuff. So we see the second impact, and obviously, you know, the whole thing about the second impact being a meteorite or whatever was completely false. It was obviously something to do with angels, and we see Misato was there. She was there at ground zero with her father. Did her father have something with the cause of it? Because she was talking later at the end about how she hated her father and how he was so engrossed in his research he couldn't look after her. Maybe in that guilt, that's why, I mean, you'd save your own daughter anyway, but maybe that's part of why he saved her. But does he bear any responsibility for what happened? I'm sure Shinji's dad is involved in what happened there as well. But we see a lot of things there. We see what looks like an angel potentially being born or being awakened, the wings coming out. Is that, you know, they reference Adam and Adam as, but that Adam we see is this is your embryo. I would have thought if we're talking about angels, the first one there at the second impact, that would be Adam, but maybe not. Maybe that one is God itself. Although, you know, it gets a bit different because like God and Adam biblically, they're not actually angels, are they? Adam's the first human, but I think the line between human and angel obviously is very thin. So was that Adam awakening there and then Adam somehow being put into this state where he kind of looks like an embryo? Or was that a different angel? But then we also see what looks like an Ava. It's there kind of in all white, glowing. That's making me feel like, well, I know the show towards the end of the show goes very psychological and almost like cerebral. I'm like, at the end of the show, because I kind of know that, does that mean kind of space-time is breaking down at the end of the show and the angel we're seeing there is actually, there's some sort of time travel shenanigans happening, or there's some sort of time loop and we're actually seeing like Shinji in Unit 1 at the second impact and somehow it's caused by him and he like loops back to it or something? Is there something like that here, or is it something else? What could that be? Maybe, you know, we know that the Evas, they are angels themselves. They're somehow spliced DNA or angels that have been captured. Could that be maybe an kind of unleashed Ava? Like one that's not, that's what they are before they're put into like the mech, although the form was the form of the mech, you know, it had like the kind of shoulder spikes and it was very much that form. So I don't know, there's definitely obviously something going on there with that kind of white figure that it only flashes quickly though. We only see it for a split second. It was like a flash of what looked like an Ava, but there was also a flash of what looked like the kind of cockpits, you know, the bits that come out the back, those long tubes. There was obviously what Misato was in, what she like escaped in, that had a similar form as well to those. But I'm pretty sure I saw a flash of what was more obviously like actually one of the cockpit insertion things. I don't know what they're called. I'm sure that's what I saw there for a split second, just for a flash. Is there some sort of time shenanigans going on here? And potentially in trying to stop the angels, there is some kind of divine or dramatic irony of them trying to stop the angels. It somehow, there's an angel so strong. I mean, if we're going biblical, you know, if there's one that represents God, they would be powerful, omnipotent, powerful enough to send someone back in time, and that causes everything. So there's the irony of in them trying to stop the angels, they cause the second impact. Is there something there? Or am I reading too much into that, speculating too much? And it was a cool design, this angel, dropping parts of itself off as bombs. That's a cool concept. Obviously, as it goes on, the more it drops, the weaker it is, I guess. It's certainly got a finite amount of mass. Although, you know, the angels, we don't really know their full capabilities. Perhaps it could have regrown all of that. But it's very off-putting. Again, you know, there's a huge variation in the form of the aliens. This one, it had that eye again, though, that kind of false eye, because it's eye-shaped, almost like, you know, a butterfly maybe would have a pattern on it that looks like an eye to deter predators. It looks almost like that. But then if you think about that, it's like, well, what's the predator of the angels? You know, is there something? But it looks very odd and off-putting. You have this great variation of like the super abstract. There was that one that was almost, you know, just the pyramid, just the metal reflective pyramid a few episodes ago, and then more that are more humanoid. I really like the variation in the angels, you know, and then you had like the spider-like one before. There's not like a convention for them, although there is still, you know, a little bit of a design style kind of with the eyes and the claws, you know. And although we don't see, you know, that Eva's out much this episode, when we do see them, there's some great animation, just, you know, them running to the scene and the destruction of like where the footprints are being placed. All of that looked great. And then like Shinji, when he puts up his AT field and like the buildings below the Ava just get like blown away, I thought that looked great. And then, you know, and then of course the symbolism of them holding up the angel, not subtle at all. They've got the weight of the world on their shoulders. And then Misato, you know, she's had this upgrade to major now. It sounds like she isn't really that excited by it. It's more responsibility. It's not enough responsibility that she gets kind of taken out of her position here with the kids. You know, she's not now distant from them and they've got someone else coming in to look after them. She's still around them, which is good. But more responsibility, I don't know how happy she is with that. I was wondering, oh, does that put a bit of distance between her, like Kaji and Risako, because she did say to Risako, hey, I outrank you now, I get to make the decisions. I don't think this was like something she was striving for. It was more a burden placed on her. It wasn't like she did it to get out of interacting with Risako and Kaji as much. I don't think it was anything like that, or to like get back at them or anything. I think it was just, yeah, maybe because Daddy's out at the South Pole that they needed someone else to have more authority while he's gone, you know? Perhaps that's just all it was. And then, like, speaking of him at the South Pole, some of the scenery there, all of the water is pink. Is that blood? Is that, like, water mixed with blood and that's caused it to be pink? Or is it something ecological, biological that's caused the water to change colour? And then it was gorgeous, the night sky with the northern lights, of course, so cool. And it's kind of really changed the environment of the South Pole. You had a few, you know, it's still icy, still cold. You had those kind of spears of ice sticking out of the water as well, really making the environment feel alien and feel changed and different. And of course, I haven't even thought, what are they doing there? Why are they going there? Are they taking Adam with them? They'd found Adam. What's the plan once they get there? What are they doing? Are they researching? Are they experimenting? Is this experiment going to cause something more? What is actually at the site of the second impact? Because we saw there was like those two pillars of light that Misato saw. Is there something there? Is there like a research base? Is there a physical object that was left behind? Is there radiation even? There's a lot of questions there, and a lot of things I feel like could go wrong from this as well, because they were talking about it was like human arrogance that caused the second impact. Was that through their research of the angels? And Is it just going to be more arrogance, them going there to the South Pole now? What if they go there and cause a third impact or a fourth impact or a fifth impact, you know? Does Dad know about the Angels that the rest of Nerve and the rest of the operation aren't privy to? There's obviously more information there. There's obviously more information that Kaji knows, and he isn't telling anyone because he was the one shuffling around Adam. So what's going on there? And then we had some really interesting insight into like the dads of this episode. Shinji's dad finally giving Shinji some praise. That is not something we've seen so far, and we see how much it lifts up Shinji, you know, for his dad to say he's proud of him. And then Misato talking about her dad and how she has this inner conflict of hating him because he, you know, lost himself in all this research and that maybe even caused his own death. But he still was noble in saving her at the end. There is still this almost respect for doing the right thing in that moment and saving her. And she has this inner conflict with him. And I think the two can kind of coexist at the same time. And the same can apply to Shinji's dad as well. You know, he's being very distant from Shinji, putting him through all of this with the Angels and with the Avas. But then he's giving him praise, and we see this other side of him with Rei as well, where he's much more caring towards Rei for some reason. And I think that's partially because there is this duality with the father. There almost being two fathers. There's the father as the person, and then the father as the figure, as what they represent for masculinity or the patriarchy. And, you know, a lot of this being Shinji and his puberty and becoming a man. What does that mean for Shinji? What does his father represent as a man, you know? In The Will to Change by Bell Hooks, because you have this patriarchal example with your father representing patriarchy, there's this bit where she writes, at one point in her life, she wished her father was dead and her life would be easier without him. And I remember listening to that. I was listening to the audiobook, walking over London Bridge and just trying to hold back tears because part of it was true. Not because I don't love my father, of course I do, but as this representation of the expectation put on you, of course life would be easier, but also that expectation comes from him wanting the best of me, you know. Of course life would be easier without any expectation or anyone pushing you to strive for your best. But I think with what Shinji's dad represents here, you know, Shinji's finally getting this praise. But like for most men, the only praise you get is through your actions. Shinji's value, like with most men, is determined by what they do. There's no intrinsic value just from having friends and being able to be himself. His value to the world is what he's doing. And obviously, you know, this is on a much bigger scale. He needs to be doing what he's doing because he's one of the few that can, to save the world from the Angels, save humanity. But we've seen so much growth with Shinji outside of the Angels, with how much more social he is now. He obviously is still struggling, as we see at the party scene, but he's grown so much, and he never gets any praise, at least from Dad, for growing and becoming a man. And he's already got so many values and aspects of his personality that are good. You know, he's compassionate and he feels, and he does have quite a good sense of like justice, you know, but he only gets praise from his dad when he's having these good results in the lab being tested, and it is having a positive impact on him, at least for now. But I think Shinji needs to find value in his life outside of that as well, because he's so much looking for his father's love and approval and not seeing the love that he's getting through, you know, both platonic love and what could maybe be later in the series romantic love with his group that he has here, you know. He definitely needs to break out of this cycle of only seeking validation from Dad, and Dad as a representative of, you know, the world and the expectations of what it means to be a man. He needs to break free of that as well and find value in himself. Okay, so I think that's everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, comment your thoughts down below. And if you really love this, be sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date on all the future uploads. So yeah, thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.